All right, let's talk about one of the biggest challenges in DeFi, finding good yield. I mean, real yield. We've all seen the two extremes, right? On one hand, you've got these degen farms promising insane APYs, and we all know how that usually ends. You get wrecked. On the other hand, you can play it super safe with a giant like Aave, but honestly, the returns are kind of boring. You might as well be in the stock market. But what if there was a third option? A way to pull real, sustainable yield from the one single thing that is always present in crypto.
And that one thing? It's volatility. I mean, it's a fact of life in this market, isn't it? The charts are always moving, up, down, sideways. It's constant chaos. So the really interesting question becomes, what if you could farm that chaos? What if you could turn all that unpredictable price action into a predictable source of profit?
So let's look at the old way of doing things, which, let's be honest, is kind of broken. Most DeFi farms work by just printing more of their own token to pay you. This creates what they call yield, but what it really does is flood the market, dilute the supply, and eventually the token price just craters. The whole thing collapses on itself. It's a system that's literally designed to fail, and that's exactly the problem Peapods set out to solve, to get away from this inflationary mess for good.
Okay, so you really have two completely different paths to yield. On the left, you've got your traditional farms. They're just pumping out new inflationary tokens. It feels good for a while, but it's basically a game of musical chairs. A race to get in and get out before the music stops and the price collapses. But on the right, you have something totally different, volatility farming. The yield here comes from real market activity. No new tokens are being printed, zero emissions. It's a sustainable model from day one. So how in the world does that actually work? Well, it all starts with a classic financial concept. And that concept is arbitrage. It sounds fancy, but it's super simple. All it means is making money from tiny price differences. Imagine a banana costs $1 at store A and $1.01 at store B, right across the street. Arbitrage is just buying a ton of bananas at store A and immediately selling them at store B for a tiny profit. In crypto, this happens millions of times a day with automated bots, and they're just snapping up these tiny differences in price across different markets.
Now here's where things get really clever. The key word is intentionally. See, most of the time arbitrage just happens naturally in the market, but Peapods doesn't wait around for these opportunities. The protocol is actually designed to create these little price differences on purpose. It's like building a special highway just for arbitrage bots and then setting up a toll booth right in the middle to collect a small fee every time they drive through. That's the whole idea behind volatility farming.
Okay, so let's get into the nuts and bolts. How does this Peapods machine actually work? How does it take all that market chaos and turn it into steady yield? Well, it all starts with a core component of the system called a pod. From a user's perspective, it's actually super simple. Let's say you have some ETH. You just deposit it into an ETH pod. In return, the protocol gives you a wrapped version of it, called PETH. Now, you have two versions of Ether floating around, the original ETH and this new PETH. Because of market dynamics, their prices will drift apart just a tiny bit. And that tiny price difference is exactly what attracts those arbitrage bots. They swarm in to buy one and sell the other, bringing the prices back in line. And every single time they make a trade, they have to pay a small fee.
And this is the beautiful part. The system collects fees on literally everything. When you deposit and wrap your asset, there's a small fee. When you withdraw and unwrap, another small fee. And of course, all those arbitrage bots trading the P token back and forth, they're paying fees on every single trade. All of these fees get pooled together and they're paid directly back to you, the person who deposited the ETH in the first place. And it's paid in ETH. No inflationary tokens, just more of what you started with. That's real yield.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's cool, but I don't want to have to pick and choose which pods to get into. And that's totally fair. For most people who just want a simple, passive strategy, there's something called MetaVolts. And you can seriously think of it as the easy button for this whole system.
And the results? Well, they kind of speak for themselves. Take a look at this. This is a real example of the APY on the USDC MetaVault on the Base network. We're talking over 20% APY on a stablecoin. And remember, this is paid out in USDC. This isn't some made-up number from printing worthless tokens. It's real, hard yield generated from actual trading fees. So what exactly is a MetaVault? Think of it like a smart, diversified fund. You just deposit your stablecoins, like USDC, and it does all the hard work for you. It automatically allocates your funds across a bunch of different pods, always hunting for the ones with the highest yield. And this part is absolutely crucial. The MetaVault has priority. In any kind of messy situation, like a liquidation, The MetaVault's depositors are first in line to get their money back. That makes it by far the safest option on the platform.
Okay, but we have to talk about the #1 fear people have with these kinds of systems, the elephant in the room. We've all been there, right? You use a lending protocol, you go to withdraw your money, and the dashboard says, available liquidity, $2, and your heart just sinks. It feels like your funds are trapped, like they're stuck forever.
It's a totally valid concern. You see that your money is there on paper, but you can't actually pull it out. So what happens then? Is your money gone? Well, the short answer is no, absolutely not. The system is designed for this exact situation, and there are basically 3 built-in ways that liquidity gets freed up automatically.
So, scenario number 1, the market goes up. Let's say the asset that's being used as collateral starts pumping in price. The protocol sees this and automatically starts selling some of that asset for USDC to rebalance. That new USDC flows right back into the pool, which means there's suddenly fresh liquidity for you to withdraw. So, a bull market actually helps unlock funds. Okay, but what about the scary scenario? What if the asset dumps hard? Well, if the price drops to a certain point, a liquidation is triggered. The protocol steps in, takes the collateral, sells it for USDC, and remember what I said earlier? The MetaVault gets paid back first. This is the system's built-in safety net kicking into high gear to make sure the lenders are made whole.
And then there's the third scenario, which is probably the most common one. The market just kind of goes sideways. Not much is happening. But even in a flat or choppy market, there are always tiny price movements. Those arbitrage bots are still working, constantly making trades and paying fees. And those fees are used to slowly, automatically pay down the loans in the background. It's like a slow drip that, over time, refills the liquidity pool all on its own. The system is designed to heal itself.
So, as you can see, the system is designed to handle whatever the market throws at it, up, down, or sideways. It works. But here's the kicker. How efficient is it? I mean, how does this new way of thinking about yield stack up against the absolute titans of DeFi, the household names? Well, this chart says everything you need to know. What you're looking at is called revenue efficiency. Basically, for every single dollar that gets deposited into the protocol, how much revenue does it generate? Now look at that little bar on the right. That represents the combined efficiency of giants like Avi, Uniswap, Maple, and Pendle. Now look at the bar on the left. That's Peapods. It's not just a little better, it's a completely different league. To put a number on it, Peapods is about 20 times more revenue efficient than Avi. It's not just an improvement, it's a fundamentally more powerful way to use capital.
And that brings us to a really mind-bending final thought. The entire Peapods protocol is permissionless. That means any token can be put into a pod. So, if you can take literally any asset in crypto and turn it into a productive, yield-bearing instrument simply by harnessing its own built-in volatility, what does that imply for the future of DeFi? It means that maybe, just maybe, the entire crypto market is one giant untapped source of sustainable real yield, just waiting to be farmed. And that is a game-changing idea.